Hey YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back. All right, I want to address and explore a question. All right, and this question came up recently. All right, you know, um, as you may or may not know, within the black sector of YouTube, there's like a not beef, you know, not a beef, but a beef between two YouTubers who are, fairly popular within the black sector of YouTube, right? And something came up in this exchange, right? In this discussion, right? Which was like, oh, the dark skinned people perpetuate colorism the most, right? So I wanted to explore the question, frame it in a question and frame it as a question and explore it, right? Do dark skinned people, perpetuate the most colorism? Hmm. Hmm. Well, I think based on just raw numbers, I would say yes, just because it's just more dark skinned people in the community. So you know, just based on statistics, I would say it's more likely yes. If we were to just count, okay, you're colorist, you're not colorist, colorist, not colorist, maybe colorist, come back to you. Yeah, if we were to do that, I'm pretty sure it probably would come up with dark skinned people being the most colorist. All right. If we were to go by percentage, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know. You know. But I will say that I do think it's really easy to put that on dark skinned people to, place that on dark skinned people because I think dark skinned people, vis-a-vis light skinned people are seen as probably the more menacing of the two, in and outside the community. So I think it would be easy to just put it off on dark skinned people, right? And even to you know, even to call out myself, I will say, when I think of colorism as far as like violence, is concerned, I will say that I have, thought of a dark skinned person being the perpetrator of the colorism. And that's, me being honest, right? Me, because when I'm here and I'm speaking with you, I try to be honest about what I think, because if we can't be honest, then we won't be able to get anywhere, right? Because then it'll just be us being politically correct, saying, "Oh, black is beautiful," you know, black is, all that. It's just everything, right? And those things are true, but I'm just saying, like, we, if we don't really mean it, though, then we can't really get anywhere. And also, we gotta be able to just say what it is, right? So, with that disclaimer out the way, here I go. All right. So I would say, yeah, I would, when I have heard about colorism and violence associated with colorism and, the bullying associated with colorism, those sort of things, I usually think of a dark skinned person. I won't lie. But, you know, I will say that, I think that does come from low key, like a white degenerate point of view, you know, kind of like being brainwashed by the system of white degeneracy, and again, I can take, responsibility for my own actions, of course, I'm not going to just put it like it's all white degeneracy, it's all them, right, um, but, and I do, think of dark skinned people as being, tough and strong, generally speaking, which aren't bad qualities to have, definitely not. But I think sometimes we sort of associate light-skinned people with maybe like innocence, which isn't always true. You know, all light-skinned and biracial folks aren't innocent, though. Definitely not. You know, but I think that them, I guess maybe us, I should say, but having some adjacency to non-blackness, especially adjacency to whiteness, I think that sort of plays a factor too. Like, and also being viewed a certain way, like, oh, you know, this really nice looking person couldn't be a bad person, right? Couldn't be a bad person, you know? You know how when you are kind of like, you know, I'll say like in the beauty standard, I'll say, like folks give you passes, right? I mean, not that I don't know nothing about that because you know, I ain't in there, but other folks, you know, just take race out of it for a minute, just in general, right? Beautiful, pretty people do sort of get passes, right? Sort of get some things not handed to them, but somewhat an easier road, right? Like, let's take Beyonce. If Beyonce didn't look how she looked, do you think she would be able to be in the position that she's in? And that's not to take away from her talent and her hard work, definitely, but her looks did play a factor in that, right? You know, let's say Beyonce was like considered unattractive, but she was still had the same talent and still was able to, you know, sing the way she sings, dance the way she dances, etc., etc. Do you think she would be able to be in the position that she's in? All right. You know? So I think because of perhaps people associating light-skinned people perhaps with certain stereotypes, honestly, like, oh, you know, they're sensitive, they're weak, you know, they, you know, like what they gonna eat, right? Since if those stereotypes are associated with you, you can then slap on like, oh, they're the aggressor, right? So I think when it comes to this type of situation here, it's like we're low key going off of stereotypes, I think, to an extent, right? Because we don't see light skinned people as being, you know, the aggressive, tough people or, you know, the strong, aggressive, tough people, right? Even though, of course, they could be that, you know, they definitely can be that, but we just don't stereotype them, or us, I should say. But we don't stereotype them folks as those things. You know? And sometimes those stereotypes work in our favors, and sometimes they don't. You know, I think this would be a situation where it's kind of working in light skinned people's favor, you know, and biracial folks as well, um, because it's almost like a somewhat a privilege, you know, to be able to not have to deal with accusations of colorism, you know, to an extent at least. You know, and also I will say something else too, as far as dark skinned people and violence are concerned. I'll say, you know, black people as a community and as a group, I think honestly have received the most violence within the United States. Historically speaking, we have. And, you know, if we were to go off of skin tone, then I would say that, you know, darker skinned people have received more of the violence, right? And sometimes I don't think that's kind of like put into like factored in like a group of people who have received so much violence, then in turn perpetuating violence themselves. I think it's not really put into context and, you know, really given, you know, them a fair evaluation. Yeah. It's not really spoken about. And of course we know why, you know. You know? And on the flip side, you know, it's like white people have received the least amount of violence as a racial group in this country, but they tend to do a whole lot of violence. All right. And, that's never really called out. Like, hey, like, what's your problem? No one's coming at you all crazy. Like, usually, most of the time, you are the aggressor, right? Yeah. And of course, these are things that I, am working through. And, because, I'm not on here to pretend like I just, got it all together and I'm 100%. No, you know, I'm going through things too. I'm working through my anti-blackness, my internalized anti-blackness, right? And, you know, sometimes it's tough to just be candid about certain things, because we don't want to put ourselves out there as being, less than good or less than, what's acceptable, right? Um, but before I go, I will mention that, I think, black folks in general, but especially darker skinned black people, I think that um, they have contributed like a lot to sort of like peaceful, revolution, like the civil rights movement, right? Um, like black people, I'll put it like this though, black people in general, like when slavery ended, we didn't start, you know, a group that was equivalent to the KKK or neo Nazis after slavery ended, right? We was just trying to move on with our lives, right? White people, on the other hand, after slavery ended, right, they made sure to start, you know, the KKK and to make sure that the law enforcement was on their side, make sure that the legal system was definitely on their side. They made sure to set things up a certain way, right? You know. Yeah. And when we think of like major social changes in the United States, a lot of them probably came from black people, especially darker skinned black people, right? Usually in the form of like, peaceful protesting and whatnot, right? But this is like a group of people that are being dubbed as like violent and malicious, right? When really they have been the victims of violence and malice, right? So yeah, it's just another injustice that we as black people, and especially like darker skinned black people, have to endure, right? And hopefully we as a community, and definitely darker skinned black people, will receive, um, the justice and the redemption that is deserved. So I'm going to bring this video to a close now. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.